Shall we start now?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we should because the time is already like now it's past 8. All right. So good morning once again to all of you. And give me a minute. Right. Good morning once again, and I hope you have been enjoying. To hear that the attendance dropped a little session to today's session, environmental appreciation. I'm aware of what that means, right? Especially in the case of community outreach.
Deep, I think you are breaking. You can switch off the video. Dr. Deep Chandi, you are breaking.
But fortunately, we do have our in-house to make you aware about man. Now,
Dr. Deep Chandi will come back. We'll wait for a few minutes.
I'm greatly sorry. Am I audible now, ma'am?
Yes, I was just going to say that don't worry about the introduction. I will just talk. But now that you are here, okay. Right.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So good morning to all of you again. And actually, as Madam correctly said, I don't like we have not been having these formal sort of introductions for a while, I guess. However, for those who may be new to our department, or in this audience specifically, there are students who would not know you, ma'am. So let me go through a very brief introduction because of that reason. So today your resource person is Professor Inoka Kudavidanage, who you can see on the screen, all right? And I have many things that is coming to my mind when I should introduce you, but let me limit it to a couple of statements. Right. So Madam has been undergraduate to the Faculty of Applied Sciences. She
Dr. Deepchandi, if you permit me, I can start without the intro. That's fine. Don't worry. They have plenty of time to get to know me. All right. Let me start. Dr. Deepchandi is having some technical difficulties, but I just want to know whether you can hear me.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay. So I'm going to keep, let me just this to the slideshow mode. Right. So let me very quickly start by saying, since Dr. Deepchandi was trying to give some introduction, let's say that I have been teaching Sabaragama for the last, this is my 23rd year as a conservation biologist, who I would say I started as a temporary lecturer, and today I teach conservation biology at the Department of Natural Resources as a professor. I think that much is enough for the moment being, because you are going to spend another 3 to 4 years at the university. And there's plenty of time to get to know me. I'm going to switch off my video as well, because that gives more strength to the network. Now that you've seen my face and my cap, here goes, right. So my affiliation goes as a professor at the Department of Natural Resources. I have also put another thing called Tropical Ecosystem Research Network. I will give you an introduction to what that is later. If at any point, if I'm not clear to you, or if you have a problem with the slides, kindly let me know, send a message, right? So, right, here goes. So you are at Sabaragama University. I think I don't have to tell that. But something good about the university is that, whereas a lot of other people, especially those studying natural resources or environmental sciences, do their field sort of lectures at the university, laboratory work, and have to go out to the field to do the field work, you have, oh, no screen. Do others see my screen? I am getting a message saying
Yes,
that,
madam.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So Dr.
Yes,
Deepchand, that is, I think, a problem from your side, but the students are seeing the screen. Yeah, but I'll just quit from the presentation. No, I'll just go for the presentation. Yes, it's from your side. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're seeing the screen. If once again, when I move from one screen to another, if you don't see that, let me know. Right now, I'm at a slide called Sabargam University. We have technical issues, so I'm sorry about that. But coming to that, so you are in a place that is called a living laboratory. A university located in one of the best possible places in Sri Lanka to do nature studies. As you sort of learn, you will hear from different lecturers, professors about the geographical importance of this location being very close to the mountain, to the dry zone, to the wet zone. All these things you will eventually hear from the lecturers. We are not too far from Horton Plains. We are not too far from Uddavalava National Park. We are not too far from Sinharaj. And that explains a lot, right? For those who have been there, for those who are yet to be there, we'll be taking you. Moving to the next slide. This is a bunch of colorful photos of some of our past students. This is just motivation. I just want to look at the smiles. One is from Minnere Girithala Nature Reserve for the protected area management subject. Another from the Horton Place field visit. And another from the Sinharaj field visit. And on your right are some photographs of some of our students dealing with wildlife. Not wildlife that you get to see in every day in your room, little insects or birds or anything. But right on top, you have a bird called Ulama. There are very few people who have actually seen that one, the forest eagle owl. One of our students kind of rescuing a baby eagle owl that was found near your science canteen. That's another one of our senior students in a rescue operation of one of the largest pythons, Pimbura, that I have ever seen. Right? So those are things that you encounter. I'm not saying that I'm going to go and throw all you to a Pimbura, but if you choose to be sort of a wildlife lover or a student interested in wildlife, there are opportunities for you. And this is like just to showcase a very few. This is kind of actually a little bit, I would say, a bunch of photos of me handling animals, but that's not the idea. What I'm trying to say here is that our interest in wildlife or in nature, environment, varies from person to person. Somebody might like the forest. Somebody might have very little understanding or interest in the environment, but can't say for you because you ended up with the Department of Natural Resources, because you have at least a slight affinity towards wildlife, right? Or perhaps some of you are interested in handling snakes. Some of you might run a mile if you see a snake. But for me, one of the primary driving factors to be in the field is my affinity or sort of preference towards wild animals, which I have encountered, I mean, since I started long years back as an undergraduate, all the way. So this degree program, once again, will help you to discover your affinity. If you are not discovering, make a go for it. See, try to just experiment with little things and see, what would I like to do? And somebody might say, hey, I don't want to be a wildlife person. I want to be a geologist. Fantastic. But still, nothing stops you from being close to wildlife. We have students, I know Dr. Deepchand knows whom I'm talking about, who became bankers at a later stage, but some of the best wildlife biologists I've ever known. Right? So once again, this university, this department, this degree program will help you or provide you a platform for you to discover what you'd like to be in terms of your environmental affinity. So the topic of this lecture is to sort of give you a brief understanding of the affinity, or maybe being oriented towards nature, and at the same time, how you as undergraduate students could reach out to people. What are the opportunities available in this region, in this country, and beyond that, to be part of the environment, to help the environment, to be an active contributor to the conservation sector. But let's start with something we all know. If you get a chance to pick a hotel room with a window or without a window, leading sort of overview a garden, I would say, most of us will pick the room with the window, where you will have a sort of a beautiful view of the garden. It's in us, in as human beings, as a group of animals that evolved from apes. This jungle gene is inside us, the affinity towards nature, to see, to absorb. That's the reason why all these people get into vehicles and go to Yalo, Udavalavio, go to a forest to relax. We would say to relax, we are going to a natural area. Why do you have to go to natural to relax? Because it's in us. Develop to a certain sort of different levels. Some of us we love to go to forest. Some of us wouldn't really mind, but still it's in you, because nature has a capacity to heal you, to make you feel better. And this today is a major discipline of studies, a lucrative business. You could call it anything. This is being utilized, exploited by many people to different degrees. If you take our nature, Sri Lanka, our nature attracts tourists. Sri Lanka is known as one of the best tourist destinations in terms of environment in the world, right? If you go to, there's a little app called National Park Traffics. If you go to that, you can actually see how many vehicles enter National Park every morning and every evening. I don't know if that's active right now, but it was. To see wildlife, to go see the beaches, or to just go dive in the coast of the sea, or to go to Singaraja, wherever it is. Sri Lanka attracts tourists from outside. Also, we have people in country who would love to go to places because, once again, it provides us various benefits. Take a look at this picture and see what I'm trying to say. The picture on the left, I always used to ask people how many animals you see. And one would say one, the leopard. Another person would say, okay, the leopard and the ticks. And another person would say leopard and 2 species of ticks, which is fantastic. On the right, I call it the laughing. This is a green vine snake, Ahatulla. Ahatulla ගොඩාක් කතන්දර තියෙනවා අපි පස්සේ කාලෙක කතා කරමු. ඇස් ගලවනවා කියනවා, ඇස් උගුල්ලනවා කියනවා. This is a very harmless, innocent snake who would not sort of shake if you pick it up. It wouldn't do anything to you. I would say the smiling snake, it's not smiling, it's sort of afraid. And that's his sort of saying, hey, don't damage me, I'm dangerous. It's not dangerous, it's just pretending. But nature offers fine things to people who are interested in nature. You could look at something and not see. If I ask you, when you get out of your main door in your house, how many plants do you see? Or what is the plant that you see right in front of your house, opposite the road? How many of us would be able to tell that? Because we are so used to the environment that we are living, that we don't take time to see. But nature offers lovely things to people who are willing to observe. Starting from the biggest animal in the world, the terrestrial animal, the elephant, the marine animal, the blue whale mammal, the tiniest things around you. If you are willing to see, there are so many things out there. So nature makes you sort of sensitive to see the fine things. If you take the uniqueness of Sri Lankan wildlife, I just took this from a couple of newspapers. The left one on the right, it's one of my photos. On the left, you have the top 7. We marked this: the bear, the elephant, the turtles, the blue whales, the crocodiles, black-necked stork, the tallest, biggest bird in Sri Lanka. On the right, it's there compared to painted storks. A lot of people come to sort of tick their checklist. Okay, I've seen the top 7 in the world. Right here, How many of us have seen the top 7 that is existing within this country? Our biodiversity is unique. During the first year of your lectures, you'll be learning the basic ecological principles. Because without principles, without the theoretical aspects, you can't go ahead. You need to know. You should be in a position to explain. That's also something unique about our degree program, because we have layered in such a way that we'll start with the basics. You learn how to explain, you learn how to interpret, and then during the latter years, you learn how to apply. And that's why you have a degree program in applied sciences. Okay, so the unique biodiversity. The degree program talks to you about compassion, right? What do you see when you look at a baby elephant? Sort of affinity. Babies are babies. All babies got some common characters. The big guy is the adorable behavior. So this little guy who has no parents is in the elephant transit home, but got a bunch of other big brothers and sisters and aunts probably. It's trying to play with a little leaf. The art of balancing, which is really essential for an elephant from little. It teaches us, this program, this subject teaches us about compassion. To look at the other animals, not as a big invasive species occupying all the resources, taking all the resources and consuming and just pushing the others over the edge of extinction, but as another compassionate living being, sharing this earth with the fellow brothers and sisters, the other species. A baby elephant is one of the fantastic ways to sort of create an affinity. Trust me, you will learn. Okay. So as I said, first year ecology, second year. So I'm being very biased towards now biodiversity subject, but technically I'm supposed to talk about all natural resource subjects. But second year biodiversity, third year field techniques in ecology and conservation, biodiversity conservation, protected area management. Those are my subjects, but thrown in together with that, you have forestry, lichenology, rural development from that angle. You have earth sciences, you have environmental sciences, but all these things eventually put you on one common platform, the environment. And my job today is basically, once again, to sort of give you, how would I say, very informally, a mixture of all these things, especially relating to environment, to nudge you here and there and make you think, right? Compassion again in a different way, right? This is Udavalawe National Park during a dry spell. And if you go today, this is what you are going to see. No water, sometimes bone parts of dead animals. On the right, defining compassion, sometimes it's difficult. Now I have seen, this is one of my photos, but I have seen similar photos saying, look at the elephant crying. The human being in me would like to say, yes, elephant crying, yes. It could be crying, it could be a response to heat or dust. So as students, you will understand, sort of interpret things in a more realistic way. Nowhere you should be sort of not compassionate, but at the same time, to define things in a more realistic way, you will understand. Animal behavior, one of my favorite topics. We will introduce you to animal behavior during the first year, but then as you go, you will start observing. Now, these are two boys, the peacock and the male red-wattled lapwing. Boys out there, what can you recognize? The total idea of both these guys is to attract a female. The peacock by displaying the beautiful sort of its feathers, chest out, shoulders back, the red-wattled lapwing. What would you do? I mean, you're grown-ups. When you see a beautiful girl, you're slouching and dragging your feet and walking along the road. All of a sudden, this beautiful girl appears and you would stand straight, put your chest out, shoulders up, try to look smart. Isn't that what these guys are doing? It's the same in the animal kingdom. You'll be surprised and you'll be sort of really interested to know that we share a lot of behavioral patterns in common. It's just that we don't know how to see it. But once you start realizing things, the anger, the depression, the happiness, the funny parts, they say that chimpanzees crack jokes. Have you ever thought about it, right? The chimpanzee way, right? Think of your dog sometimes. trying to make you acting funny, trying to make you laugh. Some people say that we are trying to define this in a very human manner, the term for that. But evolutionary, there are a lot of things we have common. Once again, it's very rewarding when you learn animal behavior and try to spot the similarities between people and animals. The sense of family, right? This is something you see in the animal world in different ways. I'll give you one example. Monkeys exist together in groups, right? They all have the adults in an outer circle and babies playing in the middle. Moment a danger appears, the mothers would pick up babies and run up the trees. They wouldn't stop looking for their babies. They would pick any baby in handy and then exchange once you're up there. What would happen if you try to sort of look for your own baby? You're putting yourself in danger and the baby in danger. They trust on each other to take care of the kids. And that is a very different thing from our sense of family. So I would say, I just talked about the difference. But there are similarities. We are going to learn about elephants eventually. How the mother, the matriarch would take care of the family. So the family sense, the sense of family is there. Family units are there in the environment. Okay, so that's another thing. The art of survival in a harsh way. You will see this plant, right? The Drosera, when you go to Api Watassa Kela Kena. When you go to Horton Plains, but is there in a lot of other places. Living in a harsh place, you are trying to survive in one way or another. And these guys have a problem in getting nutrients. And you see trapped inside little ants. What would they do? They would lure the ants using little droplets of water and sugar and trap them in there. They will be digested and the nutrients will be absorbed. In this world, people would do so many things for their own survival. Once again, as students, as people who are on the verge of going out to the world, you learn why certain individuals do certain things. And nature would guide you to understand that. Okay. So all these things are examples. This slide you will see several times, one of my favorite slides in your degree program. But from the moment, I will just say a few things and stop here with this slide. When you say biodiversity conservation, some people think it's a waste of time. Some people think it's a waste of resources, not as an investment. Some people would say that, okay, you're just trying to protect something. No. Biodiversity conservation is about, or protecting wildlife is about, protecting nature is about saving, studying, and using. Once you understand this truth, it's going to be very easy for you to be a more practical person. It's not just about saving. It's about studying, which you are doing. Your studying will help us to save it. You studying this subject will help the future generation to find better ways to use biodiversity without harming it. The using will make people understand that this is valuable, so they will save. So there's a very interesting, fantastic interlink between saving, studying, and using, which makes biodiversity conservation. This is something like an image should flash in your mind every time you talk about nature. And every time you try to convince someone else about the importance of biodiversity, right? The relationship. It's not just about saving. It's about studying and it's about sustainable use. And with that, I'll come to this. There's also another slide that you will eventually see as you go. Sri Lanka is called a biodiversity hotspot. The hotspot concept we will learn during the biodiversity lectures, but let's say that the world has many hotspots, not many, unique hotspots, and Sri Lanka is one of them, especially because of the high endemism and also the high degree of threat to biodiversity, right? If you have a camera handy, this is also something you could do. Being a photographer is not being a scientist. Take my word for this. But being a photographer will help you to become a better student of the environment. Especially if you are doing it not for commercial purpose, but for your education, for your enjoyment. Commercial purpose is a different aspect. I'm not criticizing it as a different profession. These are all what I'm using for my presentation mostly 95% of photographs that I have taken throughout my life, not from a very funky, I don't have a DSLR camera, I have just very normal camera. But it's about the way you look at it, and it's about the way you frame it. Okay. So the biodiversity out there, from the birds to the mammals, to the bats, to the amphibians, you can pick your choice, right? And start keeping records. Right? It's all pics from various places, right? And I'm putting some slides. As I said, these slides will be used for your teaching. I will only take the essence of each of it. Sri Lanka, one of the main reasons Sri Lanka is rich in biodiversity is its geography. We have a very amazing geography for this little country, like a palm, has 3 different layers, sort of elevation-wise. The lowlands, the intermediate, and the central mountains. It is like a cupcake right in the middle. The central mountains actually determine our climatic patterns, the windfall, the rainfall, so the wind patterns. All these things will be determined by this, which makes the country has a wide array of microclimatic zones. Once again, microclimatic zones give rise to different communities of different animals. We have lots of protected areas, both wildlife and forest department. We're talking about is in protected area management. And we have high degree of endemism and high degree of threat, subjects to be discussed in biodiversity field. So I'm going to use these slides to point out to different subjects. We also have forest subject, which will talk about the forest types and all. We also have geography and geology, which will highlight the importance of these land masses and terrains. Coming to challenges. What are the challenges we have as a country full of biodiversity? This little fellow was born in Runagambira National Park. The photo was taken. This photo was taken from a camera trap. We will be talking about camera traps during our subjects. In 2020, June 11th. Around this time, I think it's about 3 months old. Oh, for this little baby, there are so many challenges out there. Finding food, finding water, making sure that you are with the mother, especially during a mad rush. If a poacher is coming, the herd would run. If the baby gets lost, sometimes it's hard for it to get back to the mother. Safeguarding yourself from harm, poachers or whatever it is. The mother will do it, but not all the time. So surviving and becoming a big elephant is not an easy thing. At the same way, if you're thinking of the wildlife of this country, there are so many challenges. You'll be learning about the National Red List, or this specific book that talks about the biodiversity in the country and the degree of threat faced by each category. You'll be learning this about the different categories of endangerment, like the endangered or vulnerable, what these things are, and what animals are threatened, what animals are really okay, you don't have to worry much about. All these things we will eventually learn. We have climate change and we have evidence. Sri Lanka has been identified as one of the top countries showing very clear, distinctive evidence of climate change. We have salinity intrusion, we have changing climatic boundaries, spreading of invasive species. You are doing a subject called climatology. Within that, you'll be learning this together. At the same time, it will be incorporated into many other subjects. And we need help of people who understand this, people who can take action in the future if we are to mitigate, if we are to sort of face climate change, which is already at large, right? I'll give you one example. If you think of Sri Lanka used to be an agricultural country. We had a very clear-cut Yala and Maha season. But today, there's no Yala, there's no Maha. People don't know when to cultivate, when to harvest, because we cannot predict. Our predictions helped to drive the agricultural economy really well those days. But today, we cannot predict. From one side, we have bad management of people who are responsible for managing agriculture and land use sectors. From the other side, we have the threat of climate change, which is all these things together are leading the agriculture into a really bad place, not just agriculture, but other sectors too. We have forest fire. This is also something that you will be seeing, and you're already seeing, because you are right now at the peak season for forest fire in this region. If you step out and go a little bit further up, you will see the mountain tops burning. People set fire due to various reasons. To clear land, to encroach. If you have forest area and you want to sort of make your boundaries work, what you do is you set fire to the neighboring land, destroy the forest, push your fence and acquire the land, right? So to do that, to hunt, you set fire at one end and you go and wait at the other end. All these animals, out of the fear for their lives, would run out of the forest and get butchered by the people waiting at the other end. This area is very well known for bushmeat. That's also something that I would really expect from you as students. You don't need bushmeat. You don't need to eat wild animals out there. You will be offered, trust me, right around the university, there are plenty of places that offer bushmeat. The bushmeat comes into the university. Some of your seniors have done surveys, questionnaire surveys to understand the situation, would come to the university illegally. Not legally, there are illegal means of various vendors, sellers coming in. Say no to bushmeat. And taking another step, if you can do anything to stop that, that means informing wildlife or informing even me. Okay, you see sort of somebody bringing in bushmeat, or you know of a place there's bushmeat being sold, take the next step and inform. So see whether you can at least stop, put an end to one incident. So do that. We are going to talk about it later. But also there are our students who have somebody trying to talk. Is somebody trying to talk? Because I hear some sounds. Okay. So some students actually take place as volunteers in controlling forest fire as well. We are very close to the forest department here. And some of our students work together with wildlife and forest department to mitigate wildlife crime. So there are opportunities to do that if you're interested. Sri Lanka has lost the forest cover massively over the past 100 century. And even here, you are going to see that. So pay attention. When you are thinking of research topics, when you are thinking of mini project topics, look into sort of contributing to the knowledge base on the deforestation, or think of ways of do restoration, reforestation. Understand the science, do some practical things. Once again, this is a great place for you to work on forest research. Okay, I would stop it. All these slides will eventually pop up in some of your lectures. And if you ask the questions, why? What is causing the forest cover, the loss of it? Encroachment, poverty, agriculture ventures, population growth, all these things. Each of these subjects, each of these topics will come into place in some of your lectures. The reason I put this out is you have moved out from the school. Right now, you are not in school. You are at the university. In school, teachers taught you and you took notes. At the university, you're reading for your degree. As lecturers, we will give you directives. Now, if you sit for one of my lectures, you will see that I put up a slide on the screen and I keep talking and talking about other things that happened within the last few weeks in relation to that topic. So it's very important to be up to date about what's happening in relevant areas. Now, for example, as natural resource students, you should be knowing what is happening in the forest sector right now. What are the key events happening related to climate change? What are the conferences coming up? What are the policy changes? Read the newspapers, listen to news. So by the time you graduate, you are not just someone who's full of theoretical aspects and someone who has learned from lecture notes, but someone who's thorough in the subject, with your feet firmly planted on the ground. Someone who knows the subject in and out from experience and what's happening, and someone who's up to date. This is something I tell most of everybody when they come in. From the very first year, define what you want to be. Think of the direction that you want to go. Perhaps in the second year, you might change. You might think, oh, there are better things, things I did not know. But the good thing is, you can only decide if you have more facts. So be very thorough in your field, read and be aware. And from very early stage, plan your future in this field. Okay. This is all deforestation. I'm just going to pick up a few issues that are being widely discussed right now, especially one thing is elephants. It would be great if you all can mute your mics unless you want to ask a question, because I keep hearing voices. Thank you. Right. So one of the topics that has been discussed widely today is the elephants, because Sri Lanka has been tagged as the country has the highest number of elephant deaths mediated by human beings for a given land area, right? I was just reading some news today. Over the last year, more than 450 odd elephants have died. Over the last 6 years, 36 elephants have been electrocuted. These are known facts. If you take the unknown facts, it's even worse. A lot of human deaths too. So is it the fault of the elephant that we have deforested, we have encroached, we have put up fences? No. It's trying to find food. And it's also not the fault of some poor people. It's the fault of land use management. So this is a topic, if you are interested in sort of diving headfirst into conservation issues, something that you can read about today, because it's out there on every paper. The 12th of August is the World Elephant Day. There'll be a lot of activities, a lot of articles coming out, so you can prepare to understand. If you are interested in elephants, I'm just taking one species, being very biased. You can do that through your degree program. We had several students who did research on elephants, looking at their social structures and behavior. For example, this is Thunpatrana. Thunpatrana, mother, father, and the baby. No, Thunpatrana is always two females and the baby. Two females could be siblings, mother and elder daughter, or mother and mother's sister. So the baby is aunt, and a baby less than 15 years old, because after 15 years, you can't have males in your herd. You have to chase them out. The reason we will talk later. So these chased out males will live in solitude or form male groups. So this is all part of behavior. So you can learn behavior. There are very unique elephants that we talk about. One in Kabilitto, one in Udawalawe, the one that raids jeeps, if you are going deep into the subject. So it's very interesting. You can learn all about these things if you are interested. And Sri Lanka today is struggling for coexistence. These are some of the photos from the past. I have an entire database of tuskers that have been killed, because tuskers are very low in Sri Lanka, less than 3%. And the one at the top is a very famous one, photographed widely, and was electrocuted in Namaluyana, right? All these things you can read about today. The conflict, the Hambantota, what's happening, the managed elephant reserve, right? The number of deaths, the graphs, statistics. These are all from newspapers, public media. So if you pick a certain subject area, from the very beginning, keep databases. Layer your computer, compartmentalize your computer into sections and start collecting, putting together a library of research papers, newspaper cuttings, photographs that you can use for presentations, because that's also another opportunity you will have. In Department of Natural Resources, you have what you call the Society for Natural Resources, SNRS. And you also have the student union at large. They are also quite interested in doing environmental activities. We organize things through the department, where students will get to go and share your knowledge with school children, with public. This is a very good opportunity for you to start learning to become a public speaker, because the importance of your knowledge lies in it's just one direction. If you can communicate, if you can share, if you can reach out to people, translated outreach from a very early stage, you'll be very successful, and also that helps your career. One fine day, you might become a lecturer, you might become a journalist, you might become sort of a lawyer, environmental lawyer. Learn, a communicator, a teacher. Learn from the very beginning. Go out, talk to people. Right? So this is all related to human-elephant kills. You may have seen this at Udawalawe. The kindness, the sympathy. You're feeding elephants, but the same elephant will come back to the village looking for more tasty food. Why eat all this dry grass and all these things in the forest when you get pancakes and roti and kottu roti, bananas, fruit salad, sponge cakes, all these things fed by people? There's this specific elephant. There's a sign saying this elephant is diabetic, don't feed it. And this elephant would stand right next to that board and ask for food. Right? And the other thing is the plastic. Sometimes you are so interested in feeding, you throw the entire plastic bag full of food. The elephant next day will go looking for plastics and that will kill it. Right? So all these things we will discuss. I'm not going to go deep into elephants. There are other topics that we can talk. Right? How to control, how to mitigate conflict. Right? Those things you'll be learning. And also publishing. I just put this paper. This is 2 of my papers on human-elephant conflict and also about farmers and all these things. Start publishing from a very early stage. You might ask, what do we know about publishing? No. Start with abstracts. Do small research. Write communication pieces. Publish in journals. You don't have to wait until you go to the 3rd or 4th year to publish. Start maintaining a small collection of little publications, news articles. If you can write, or if you can get together as a team. මට ලියන්න බෑ. මට ලියන්න පුළුවන් යාළුවෙක් ඉන්න. මට පුළුවන් graphs අදින්න. I can sort of edit photos. So make a small team and start publishing things. Because it's very good to communicate from one side and also good for your career if you think of publishing. Right? So I'll skip this part. This is all in situ conservation in protected areas. We also have zoos. Now this is rather controversial. The reason I put this slide is because Sri Lanka has many zoos. We have the Dehiwala Zoo, we have Ridhigam Safari Zoo, you have Pinnawala Zoo. Zoos are heavily criticized in Sri Lanka due to various reasons, which I understand. There's some degree of truth to it, not all. At the same time, as students, one thing you could do is, when there's a problem, if you could help to make things better through your research, do that. So this is one example. So zoos are, say there are sort of wrong decision making or not enough research in zoos. See if you can step in and do some research, because there have been several students in the department who have contributed successfully to the knowledge base in our zoos. So there's a chance, because Ridhigam Zoo is not too far from you, for you to go there. They have a research center. You can stay and work, learn animal behavior. I'm making some plans to actually take you there, learn animal behavior, contribute to animal welfare. There are opportunities. See, all these things, especially opening a center for fishing cat research, right? And barking deer and hog deer research. So there are opportunities out there. Right. So coming to from that, I'm going to talk for another probably 20 to 25 minutes and then stop there. This is another opportunity. The reason I put this slide is because many of our senior student groups, those who graduated recently, and the batch below that have worked in this park. This is Ludugammera. Exactly 101 kilometers from this place. You can go there in 1.5 to 2 hours time. It's part of Yala now, not Ludugammera anymore. These photographs are from the research that my team and I have been doing, looking at the biodiversity. One of your senior students actually did this, is analyzing this data for his undergraduate thesis, looking at the diversity and relationships. These are all from camera traps, right? This park also has invasive species. Invasive species is something that would come out from outside and take over the habitat and harm the native species. So here you have lantana, you have Iconia or Japan jabber, you have Podysynyamana, you have agada, all these things that are totally useless for most of the wildlife, at the same time taking over the habitat. It's also a famous park for bushmeat trade. You'll see the poachers and all. And there's a project going on right now. An outsider group is working on removing the invasive plants. And invasive, 2 types of invasive, the lantana and the Podysynyamana. The project has 3 components: the collaborative habitat management, supporting local communities where we engage local people, and also deriving scientific data. The reason I'm putting this slide or demonstrating this, that for two reasons. One is for the scientific data component, we had some of our students going in and collecting data because the science is required. There's action going on. If this is successful, the other people also can replicate that. But how do you say that action is successful? You need monitoring. So that's where the science comes in, right? So still there are opportunities for anyone interested to go and work in this park. And second one is community outreach. As undergraduates, as university students, you have to reach out to peripheral communities, work with them, provide your knowledge input. Now here, it's a different story. Here, the park was threatened by the outside communities because they were not getting anything from it. So here we offered an opportunity for them to come and work in the park. So now you have a sense of belonging. Now you feel that this is my park. This is our park. It's providing us livelihood. That is one good way of making people contribute to conservation. Give them an opportunity to be part of it. So that's a lesson learned for you. If you want to get outside people involved, come up with plans to get them involved in something that you want to protect, right? So the reason I'm sharing this is, once again, as I said, the topic of this lecture or part of it is community outreach. So here, the monitoring says that the animals are coming back, the populations are increasing. We are also working with the school children. It's not just the people out, the adults. Once again, lesson for you. There are a lot of schools around Sabaragamu University. Get involved. Work with these schools. Already you have your seniors doing that. You have your staff members doing that. Come up with topics, not just haphazard talking. Come up with ways to actively contribute to these schools. Think of projects. You might be very good at it. And get these kids involved. Okay. Help in local livelihood development, right? Do something, some contribution. The university has a lot of facilities that could help you to link people, communities with what's ongoing. So this is what we are doing at Lunugammer, as I said, teaching children, setting up community groups, beekeeping, then medicinal gardens. There's a community hall, tree planting. All these things are various ways of providing them what we need. You can't go out and build a community hall, but you never know. There are student groups to do fundraising campaigns to help local schools. Could be one of them. And now there are opportunities. There are lots of organizations out there who are willing to join hands with student groups who are doing community outreach. At least I can give you 3 to 4 names for sure who can come out and help you. So once again, plan from an early stage, right? Learn the technology. That's also a new thing. Be up to date with the technology. These examples from the work that my team and I are doing right now. This team is actually, this technology team is led by Mr. Ravindra Amrasingh. He's my husband, who's actually teaching people how to use camera traps, how to work with drones, and how to use these things to combat wildlife crimes, right? Publish your work. Interact with outsiders. Now, there are people out there who are willing to come, especially students, foreign researchers. You would say, who am I to interact with foreign students? But trust me, there are very good examples from our student community who have worked with foreigners through their own contacts or through people I bring in. Because whenever I bring foreign students or training programs, I always get local students to interact and work with them. Not just me, there are other staff members doing that too. So once you mix with these people, that's a very good knowledge sharing experience. Use those links to build your career. I can give you good examples of some of our students who have been very, very successful in this context and who are out there making a great difference. And communicate what you are doing. So there are opportunities through this degree program for you to interact with foreign students, foreign resource persons, be part of the work they are doing if you are interested, right? And this is, I'm going to stop after this. This is a second example. I'm using this because this is my current top research area, looking at wildcats, especially leopards. There's an external organization called Wildlife and Nature Protection Society. WNPS, which is the second oldest conservation body in the world. It was established in 1894, if I'm right. So it has different groups, and there's something called Wildcat Conservation Committee, and I'm chairing that right now. Through that, there are we are doing a lot of conservation work on leopards because it's threatened. It has issues, human-leopard conflict, and we just celebrated the Sri Lankan Leopard Day on 1st of August. There are plenty of articles out there if you search, and there are a lot of things needed to be done when it comes to leopards. We need awareness development, we need database, we need research. There are lots of research gaps, and at Belihulloya, there's a leopard conservation center established. One of your senior students is actually being the coordinator to it. So there is, but I would just stop it from there, saying that there's potential for leopard research, and there are leopards in this region. You will be surprised. 6 kilometers down towards Haputale from here, there are elephants. This photograph was taken once again, the photo down, that in that 6 kilometer point in the land. Last year, there has been leopard sightings close to the university, the peripheral areas. Don't be afraid, because they are not going to come looking for you. They are very shy and very scared, and they would run away. But there are leopards. So if anybody interested, there's potential for work. This is my old team, and there are Sabaragam University students. There have been 1, 2, 3 undergraduate research programs, 4 from this local, and 3 foreign research students working in this project, looking at leopards in Horton Plains, right? I'll quickly go through these photos. These are all camera trap photos, right? And these are photos of leopards of Horton Plains, right? So we have finished this in 2019-18, and we are planning to start the next research again this year to look at the populations again, because looking at population dynamics, it's always important to have long-term studies. But there's also potential to work on leopards, and there's also potential to work on bears very soon, another project coming up, right? So we will discuss this project and what we did during your biodiversity module. But if you are interested in reading about it beforehand, just go to my Google Scholar and click the link, and you can download these papers. They are open source. You can download them for free. The papers are out there, right? And the database is online. But basically what we did was we looked at the ecology of the leopards, the population sizes, their distribution pattern, movement patterns, territory habitat sharing. All that information is out there available. And these are students working, both local and foreign students, and the wildlife staff members. This is also very interesting when it comes to outreach. 10 more minutes and I'm done. When you are doing outreach, it's not just for students or just for communities. Work with professionals. This is a huge gap between the scientists, the students, and the people who work at the ground level. Now, for an example, there are the local wildlife department office is at Seelagama, between 154th and 153rd kilometer post, right, on the right. A lot of our students from the Department of Natural Resources maintain contact with these people, because if say a barking deer has been injured, or there's a dead on campus, you get injured birds, or there are snakes. Our students reach out to the wildlife department and work with them, forest department. They maintain very good contacts. At the same time, knowledge sharing. Now, when you go to Singharaja or Horton Plains, we always link in. We always sort of work with these people and get them involved in what we are doing, in our training. That is knowledge sharing. You share your scientific experience with them, and they will share their ground level experience with you. That's a very good relationship. See if you can build that. Now, we have been doing that. We've been training them and doing all that for a while. So there's an opportunity for you, right? And this is the project that I mentioned, multi-regional leopard project. There are 6 centers in island-wide. There's one in Panama, one in Singharaja, one in Kilinochchi, one in Belihulloya, one in Maskeliya, Sigiriya. You have since there's one center here, through this center, we are taking volunteers to work on this project. So if you want to come in, you're most welcome to work as a volunteer in this project. I'll introduce you to the person who's handling it, who comes through the department, and we engage, right? And yeah, and this is also another thing, private sector. There are also private sector organizations willing to get students to work with them, not just as research students, as interns. One good example is Dilma Conservation. I'm not naming names, but I'm naming a name for a reason right now, because this is headed by one of our senior students, right? She's the head of conservation. And through that, there are a lot of opportunities for our students to go and work. Research opportunities, internship, training opportunities, they are there. Right. We are working on dung beetles as a biological indicator. That's also another model project. 5 more minutes to go. Dung beetles, those who want to work with small animals, insects, we have this, right? Dung beetles is a super good biological indicator. And once again, Belihulloya region is amazing in terms of dung beetle diversity. We have a lot, especially one in the middle, Sisyphus tarantula. This is point endemic. It's only found in Belihulloya in the entire world. It's endemic to Sri Lanka, endemic to Belihulloya region, right? I'll tell you how we figure that out. And the good thing is, we have my PhD was actually on dung beetle, although I'm working on leopards. And through my work, now we had several students, starting from Dr. Deep Chandi, who did that for her MPhil. And we have Rumeshika, who's just finishing. We had Tilina, who's in China right now. And we have working very close to private sector. And we have now, this time we had Nada Santunika, who did her undergraduate work. We have more students interested in doing work. We had mini projects. So we have a nice relationship with the tea plantation sector, with Wildlife and Nature Protection Society, and also with other private sectors in working on dung beetles, right? And I'll come to this as last. I mentioned something called TURN. Now, this is not academic. TURN is something I established together with my family, with my husband and a couple of other people, as a platform for research, Tropical Ecosystem Research Network, right? Through that we are offering. So you'll ask, okay, you are an academic, what are you doing? Yes, I'm an academic. At the same time, as a professional, I'm interested in implementing conservation at ground level. You can do it through someone else, or you can create your own platform. So here we have a platform that has offered many opportunities for our students and foreign students. We have field stations in Hambantota. We have another field station in Belihulloya. We have another field station together with WNPS in Budungala, further up, a nice forest where you'll be going to do conservation work, to do outreach work. So this offers opportunity for you to come and do internships and work with us, right? These are some of our students at the Budungala station, right? And this is the wildlife of that place. And this is the last slide, community outreach. It's not just that. You can do community outreach with various other organizations. There's UNDP, it could be wildlife, it could be forest, because out there are communities who need help. Now, these are some of examples from my work. We work with Lahugala people on restoring tank systems. In Ampala, with farmers to restore grasslands. Badulla catchment conservation. Jaffna, we worked in creating sustainable home gardens. In Wilpat, the forest restoration. With Dambana, the Vedda communities on livelihood development. In Jaffna, once again, livelihood development. Again in Jaffna, medicinal gardens. In Seelagama, Belihulloya, Galagama, forest fire control. These are all opportunities. Each of these projects, we had some of our students coming in and doing internships. So there are problems out there. You have the capacity, or you will be building the capacity. You have a very good staff. One good thing about applied sciences, I'm not speaking for other faculties, they're all good, but I'm just saying applied sciences, we don't have boundaries. You have very good staff at natural resources, but if you need help from physical sciences or food science or sports science, we don't draw lines. They're all there to help you, right? So together with the staff, with your senior students, you can reach out to communities, you can reach out to different stakeholders and build a fantastic career. Enjoy your undergraduate life and build a fantastic career. Become a professional. Start now. Not at the fourth, not in the fourth. Start now in building yourself as a profession. Opportunities are there. It's like a tree full of ripe mangoes. Just pick. Apply your knowledge, address problems, assist others, be aware of what's happening, and advocate for conservation. Right? These things we can discuss later, right? That's you mumbling in the ear of somebody saying that this is what I want to do. Thank you very much. I talked a lot. I don't think we have time for questions, but you can always find me somewhere to ask questions if you want. Okay. I went very fast, but I guess that's it. Anything quick from you? Anybody has anything to say? Let's like just one comment or one question. A burning question that you want to ask? Yeah, seems you don't have questions. So right now I'm on sabbatical, but I'm in and around the campus most of the time. I live at the university apartments in Imperial Road, so I'm here. The department has my contacts. If you want to be in touch, please feel free to do that. Okay. I went very fast. Please don't feel sad that you missed some of the slides because you'll be seeing these slides. Thank you very much. I have one comment. Yeah. Thank you, Chamika, for the comment. All the best to you.
Ma'am, I'm here now.
All right, Deep. Okay.
Okay. So I actually could catch you up in a different device. So I was all through the talk. I was here. Thank you, ma'am.
That's true, Deep, because I don't want to make them wait and talk for a long time because we'll be discussing these things again and again during the degree program.
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
to nudge them in a different directions. That's all.
Of course. And I believe all of these new students got a nice inspiration from your talk. They really got that. I'm certain. Thank you so much, dear ma'am. On behalf of the orientation committee, let me thank you in a more formal way. And on behalf of the audience, again, thank you, ma'am.
Most welcome. Happy for the opportunity. Is there a club or a society we can join? This question, and yes. So at the department, you have a Society for Natural Resource Studies. It's the departmental academic organization. You can join that. Outside, there are lots of organizations that you can join, wildlife conservation related. So, for example, I mentioned WNPS, Wildlife and Nature Protection Society, offers memberships and lots of opportunities for people to come and work. If TERN has any internship opportunities in the future, I'm happy to open them up. But yes, come and talk to me when you meet me. I can sort of give you information about different societies that you can join. Welcome. Okay. All good, Deep. And thank you all for your comments.
Ma'am.
Right.
Okay.
All right, I'm off then.
I think we can wind up. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Students need to join the next session at 9:50. That's an announcement for all the students. Okay, have a good day again.
Okay.